Americans have been sort of taught, sort of brainwashed in a way to view one side as equal to them, and another side as terrorists. Period. Just terrorists. Right. Just no explanation, anything more than that. Just one side is good and like us, the other side is bad and not like us.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is a so State Department spokesperson. Let's just watch this exchange.
On the principle of it, why is it so difficult for this government to say we condemn the killing of children, Palestinian women and children? Why can't you say the word condemn?
Saeed, if you listen to what I said a moment ago,
hold
on. Saeed, please don't interrupt me.
Yeah?
I said far too many Palestinians have died. Thousands of Palestinian children have died, and it is a tragedy when one of them dies.
No, that's not.
Of course, we don't want to see a single
tragic. Like, you know, I don't know. A car accident's a tragedy. Like this is happening on purpose. There's somebody doing the murdering.
Death during a weather event is a tragedy. Like no one's at fault for that. Usually, you know, it's a event of God or whatever it's called. I can't.
Act of God.
Act of God. Thank you.
Act of God.
Yeah, he did not say condemn, and you know, I'm sorry, saying too many have died is saying that there's an amount which is tolerable. There's an amount of dead that are tolerable.
Well, and while listening to this, like, imagine if the roles were reversed, and he's talking about Israeli deaths, and you know, it was a tragedy. Like, just like think of how, because it can be hard to really, you know, this is for viewers, obviously you all know, but it can be hard for some people to really understand how twisted this all is until you try to think of it if it was the other way around, and it'd be so glaring and so obvious that it would get called out, but this gets ignored day in, day out, and they continue having these sorts of responses.
Child die. We don't want to see anyone die as a result of this conflict, which is why we have been working to bring this conflict to a close as soon as possible. But whenever you ask me these questions, I do think you continue to kind of just elide over the fact that Hamas bears a great deal of responsibility for putting those children in harm's way. Remember,
Israel bears responsibility for putting those civilians in harm's way. Like, just think of how fucking twisted all of this is.
It was Hamas that launched this war in the first place with an attack on Israel that killed
history began on the 7th
and children, and that Hamas that hid and continues to hide behind children is Human Shields.
Oh, right,
so, yes,
the Human Shields, good. All the classics.
Wait, hang on a second. Can you pause it? Because they keep saying this, but why is it that they are bombing civilian infrastructure disproportionately, but the Hamas tunnels for the most part are intact? Like, they're not trying to target Hamas. Like, this is an extermination. They want to wipe out Palestinians, period.
I don't think people have wrapped their heads around the scale of the starvation right now, but I was listening on Democracy Now! To the UN World Food Program chairman who was saying that this has never happened in human history at this scale, where there's nearly a half a million children who are at the point of starvation soon. And he's like, people have to recognize immediately what the costs will be if something is not done. They're used to getting close to 500 or 600 trucks a day, and now there's barely 100 getting through anymore. And like it's going to be you know, historically horrifying. It already is, but like you're like every moment that goes by is another moment that people are dying from starvation. Every single day.
Multiplying.
Yeah.
Any child die. We don't want to see any innocent civilian die, which is why we are working so hard to try to achieve a temporary ceasefire that would alleviate their suffering.
Temporary ceasefire.
I have not heard the word condemn. I mean, you know, this war began way before October 7. I mean, you know, in fact, the reason that this administration was so strong on, you know, pursuing a Middle East peace and so on, because the war has been going on for decades before and so on. We heard this administration when they came into office talking about reopening the consulate, talking about reopening the PLO office here, talking about restarting and reigniting peace talks and so on, re-aiding UNRWA and so on, simply because that war has been going on for a very long time, because Gaza was under siege for a very, very long time.
Saeed, nothing that happened before October 7th justifies what Hamas did on that day. And it is what Hamas did on that day that led to the outbreak of this war and led to the suffering of so many innocent Palestinians.
It's not a war.
Wait, but hold on. Pause this. if that is your if that is your through line there, if that's your narrative there, and you're not condemning the Israeli response, then you're saying what Hamas did to Israel, the 1,000 or so people that were killed on October 7th, is not justified by everything that happened over the past 75 years. Fine. But then, by that logic, you were saying the 30,000 people now that have been killed by Israel in Gaza, that is justified as a response to October 7th.
Yeah.
It's like David said, they're not seen as human.
He doesn't even realize it, because again, their lives don't fucking matter. It's
important to correct that fact.
That's fine. I mean, you guys said this many times before, but in fact, Israel has been waging war on Gaza for a very, very long time.
It's so fucking frustrating just to see these brick walls. Like,
it's the feigned obliviousness. We're telling them to do better. It's just, I'm so sick of it.